All right, what's the next one?
Oh, I love how
All
you
right.
say the big two for last. I love
Oh
that.
yeah, for
Yeah, of
sure.
course, has to.
We're going.
So we'll save the best for last. We'll go OU Texas next. No, I'm
So
just
we
kidding.
we got Alabama -2 at Aggie, and oof, man, usually I take at least the past since we've been doing this, right? This season, last season, the Aggies have just like had a loss that makes everyone disrespect them, right? And then I just know the talent's there because I follow recruiting, and I usually try to get the Aggies where the public doesn't like them. So it's hard for me because their defense is good. Their two big D tackles, freaking Nolan and I think it's Shamar Turner, been absolutely beasting. These teams are so similar in the fact that it's defense based right now. I think the Aggies have more. Max Johnson is more of a known commodity at quarterback, but kind of the unknown with Milrow. If you can kind of build around his skill set, which is kind of being a run quarterback, and he is good at the deep shots. He's just not ready yet to make all the reads himself, right, and be that complete quarterback. Um, I probably wouldn't have even wanted to play this game because I do. It would probably be. I don't know. It's a really toss up for me. I couldn't just go out and give advice, but
It is a hard pick, huh? Even I was like looking at the line, like, man, I don't know, man.
With Texas having, yeah, even Vegas knows, right? It's -2. With Texas having that win against Bama, I'm strictly picking Bama just for that strength of schedule boost. Give me Bama -2 for 1 point. Not confident at all.
That's all right, Ryan. Go ahead.
Really, yeah, I think it comes down to they're
All the
almost
signs are pointing at
exactly
you.
the
Sorry.
same, like you said. It's going to be just straight defense and running because the Aggies aren't going to trust Max Johnson to throw it 35 times, and either Bama's not going to let Milrow even throw it 20 times. I think his ability to run though, and the fact that he looks like the biggest dude on the field is going to be a problem for anyone when he plays. I think. I mean, yeah, -2. I mean, really, all the same reasons Ian said. It's going to be. I mean, if it and then it just comes down to being like, well, who has the better coach? Like Saban's going to outcoach anyone in the country, and so I'm just gonna. I mean, I'm not confident at all. I think like I was telling Ian and Kevin, who both actually agreed. And like, sadly, I agree. I'm like, dude, it's gonna be a close game, but I think either way, it's just gonna be close. I think though, I'm just gonna take Bama but that could be just biased to the fact that what they've just been dominating for 20 years.
So I'm obviously taking Aggies, but I think it is justified. I mean, it is a 2-point spread, right? So it is a close game. It's not like I'm coming out of nowhere, but in my opinion, A&M, it's gonna be crazy to hear this, but I honestly think this. A&M is better in every single aspect of this game except for their DBs and their coach. I think they have a better overall quarterback, offensive line, running backs, wide receivers, linebacker, defensive line. I think they are better all over the field. Now, we're catching Bama in a down year too, so it's not like, I'm not trying to say this is every year and this is not the norm, but I do think right now, as Aggies are coming up, and talent-wise anyways, and Bama's having a down year, so far this year, A&M has beating them essentially in every position on the field, right? And I believe A&M is number 1 in sack percentage, and I think they're also number 1 in this thing I heard called havoc plays on defense, which essentially is you either break up a pass, a turnover, a sack, a tackle for loss, essentially anything that's not positive yardage or an incomplete pass, essentially, is like considered a havoc play. They're number 1 in that too. Alabama has struggled on the offensive line very mightily. They do have good DB, so I'm hoping that Petrino can do something there, get creative a little bit, give them some different looks, right? Milrow, the one thing that made me eventually tilt her over to A&M, right, was when they played Jefferson last week for Arkansas. He's a little bit of the same style as Milrow. Again, maybe not as top end athletically, but the one thing that they did and that I heard and I also saw is that they contained him, right? If A&M runs past Milrow this week or they get out of position on Milrow, I think it could be a bad day for the Aggies or a long game. I think they know that, though, and I think they have the defensive line and the linebackers to do it. I think they're going to contain Milroe. I think they're going to do a good job getting pressure on him. I think that's the difference. I think A&M's front seven is going to be able to wreak more havoc than Bama's offensive line will be able to overcome, or Milroe will be able to make plays to kind of compensate for it, right? If the Aggies can contain Milroe, don't necessarily have to get a sack, right? Pressure him, be around him, do not let him escape. I think the Aggies get the win, right? That's essentially what I think it's going to come down to. And the A&M DBs, they have had some bad games, like against Miami. They are going to have to play a lot better. They have been so far, right, since that game, but they're going to have to not let like a long third down and 12 or something, right, get converted after the defensive front, had a good first and second down. They cannot give up big third downs with the DBs. And if they can do that, the front seven can get pressure. I think that's the end result. I think A&M will score. I think they'll get at least 28 points. If they can keep Bama under that, that's kind of where I put the game at. So that's my take on it. I'm only going to put maybe 1 or 2. Maybe I'll get hyped up Saturday morning and put a 3 on it. But I'm just going to put 1 on it, I think. But I think A&M gets the dub. I really do. I feel confident about it, right? Like not just bumping my gums as usual, but I think they are actually the better team on paper and so far in the metrics too. So that's my rant.
Yeah.
I was about to say, Nick, you obviously did your research on this one. I will say, if the Aggies score 28, they're definitely going to win that game. Alabama, I don't even think Alabama has scored. Like, even against what is it?
Not against a Power 5 team.
They just crushed Mississippi State 40-17, but you're right. Technically, what is MTSU, Middle Tennessee State? They got 56, but that doesn't really count.
That didn't count.
Yeah.
But like South, what is it?
17 Southern Florida and 24 against Mississippi.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think their offense isn't as explosive as it has always been. I think, like, with the difference between Jefferson and Milroe, Jefferson, I think, is more – it's always designed runs, right? I think Milroe is more of a improvise whenever his O-line, which is, like, insane, the fact that they're bigger than any NFL D-line at all. They're all, like, 350 pounds, which I think is actually hurting them that they're that big.
Could be, yeah. Saban wanted to come back with that punish football, but if they can't keep up with speed on the end, then
or they're getting gassed by like the second quarter. Like,
yeah,
it's a big body to walk around with, much less play football in. But if the Aggies score 28, I mean, I think they take the game. And in no way do I have any confidence on either way. I think it's gonna be a freaking battle. I think it's too close in talent for it not to be. It just, had y'all have like Wiegman, I think I would have leaned more towards the Aggies. Max Johnson looks good at times, but then he also can make some really dumb throws.
Yeah, he had 2 really bad turnovers last week, especially the one running. I thought that was really stupid because if he goes down, like, it's nice that we have him as a backup, but we're one injury away from like being totally cooked, right? Like right now we're kind of, I think, going on fumes and like everyone's hyped up and Max Johnson is good, but if we lose him, then we definitely have no chance whatsoever.
And how about the ramifications for this game? Both Aggies and Bama still have everything they want to achieve in front of them.
Yeah,
they could both win out, and they could take the SEC West. They could. If they beat Georgia, they're in the playoff, or presumably Georgia in the SEC championship game. Like, everything they need is still there. So this game is huge.
Yeah, and they're the only 2 undefeated teams in the West still. And I was gonna say, like, from week 2 against Miami to now is like total, like, it's a total 180, right? Like, you figured, fuck, like, we just got smoked by Miami. Like, we're not where we need to be. And now we've like cooked the last 2 teams we played. And even against Arkansas and Auburn, we played a little sloppy, right? Like, there's still a lot of things I think could be tweaked, and we still crushed them pretty good. And what's nice too is like I know the Aggie logic comparison, right? But like Arkansas did really good against LSU and against who did we just talk about?
Kentucky?
Georgia. They did really good. They played Georgia too, I think. They did really good against Georgia.
They kept it close.
Auburn did. That's right. Auburn did really good against Georgia. And it's like we've seen a couple of these teams play other teams and, you know, just trying to get a week-to-week comparison, it seems like, yeah, like you say, A&M and Alabama have, I mean, they are the two favorites to win the West right now, I would think. Maybe not. I guess if LSU here wins again.
No, it's got to be.
You would think, but you never know again on the rankings. But again, I think we can beat LSU. I think we can beat Bama. Like it's gonna be a dogfight out there. But A&M's probably gonna be favored, depending on how LSU does the rest of the year. A&M after this game, and maybe see what happens at Tennessee this week. Alabama and Tennessee, like after these games, we might be favored the rest of the way if we can win 2 big games here back to back.
Yeah,
which
and
then also makes that Kentucky game even bigger for Georgia. I mean, I think that spread's ridiculous for Kentucky, but anyways.
Yeah, I think it is too.
Bama's defense holding Ole Miss to 10 points, 300 yards is also kind of scary.
Well, Georgia's defense is always. I mean, it's just their offense this year. It's just been.
I'm talking about Bama.
Yeah, Bama held. Yeah,
they did a job on Ole Miss, and then you saw what Ole Miss did to LSU. So we'll see who's. But then the Aggies defense has been kind of clicking too. So it's gonna be a good one. And
Arkansas got a late touchdown there. I mean, so we really only let 10 to Auburn and maybe like 2 touchdowns to Arkansas, which. You know, and A&M even had another touchdown like right at the end of the game that they just called dead, forward progress, that he got pushed into the end zone right after he blew his whistle. So that score could have looked even worse. But, yeah, man, the defense is going to have to win us game or not win us games, but over the season, if we look back and we have a good season, it's going to be because the defensive front got to the quarterback is ultimately, I think, is hopefully what the big difference is this year, right? Like, last year we had a stingy defense, like it was not bad, but we didn't like make a lot of plays. We didn't get in the backfield enough and sort of cause havoc. This year it feels totally different. Feels like another click up.
Yeah, imagine if y'all still had A-Chain. That guy is a monster.
Yeah, we have
trying to give a little subtle shout out to his fantasy football team. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, I have Mustard, so it's kind of bittersweet. Yeah, dude, he's crazy.
He's huge and he runs like a 4.3, 4.2. Like, I did not know he's a track star. Like, dude's insane. Fits well in the Dolphins with the other two. But anyways.
Yeah, and A&M special teams looks good too. We had a punt return, and we almost had a on when they were returning a kick. The receiver like dodged one guy and the second guy poked it out. And Aggie ran like right by the ball as it was, and he like got 2 hands on it, and it went right through his hands. Like he almost like from 10 yards out, almost just had it for another touchdown. But yeah, but I'm stoked. This is a big weekend for us.